Well, hello, Gareth. It's such a pleasure to meet you. Congratulations on the release of The Creator, both in theaters and now on streaming. It's such an achievement. It's such a gorgeous film.
No, thank you. No, nice to meet you. Thank you.
So my first question is kind of a broad one. Um, The Creator it's one of those rare sci-fi films that's able to balance this very epic scope with this very tight human story. Sci-fi films don't always achieve that. And so I was wondering if you'd like to talk a little bit about how you came to that balance.
Um, yeah, I mean, there's always the goal. Um, when you start learning about storytelling, like everyone wants, I mean, I think everybody in their heart is a storyteller, and
Mhm.
whatever they do for a living, they tell their friends stories about something or other. But when you have to do it for a living, at a certain point, you really have to dig deep into what the hell is a story and why do we tell them, and why do some work amazingly and some don't, and
Mhm.
so you get into all that, and one of the first things you realize straight out, out the gate, is that there are two stories mostly in all these films. There's the outer story and the inner story, and the two kind of reflect each other. And so the
Mhm.
holy grail, or the thing you're trying to do as a filmmaker, or I am, because I grew up with these kind of films,
Yeah.
is find an epic, really cinematic, exciting world building outer story. But then
Mhm.
it's like, and you might start with that sometimes, and then you have to go, but what the hell is the, like, if you ran that, like basically World War II, pick a war or something. World War II, there's so many stories, of people, like there were so many fascinating lives that lived and died during World War II that have incredible stories to tell. It's like,
Mhm.
what's the ultimate story in World War II? It'd be very hard to find the ultimate story, but you're always trying to find, like, what character would live through this world and go on, and what circumstances would allow for, like, the perfect reflection of what's going on in the outer world. And and in this one, it was quite simple in that you just take the two enemies, in our
Mhm.
case humans and AI, and you force them together on a journey through that world, and in their interaction and in their kind of relationship or whatever, as they go, they that central relationship kind of reflects and contains the thoughts and arguments and questions about what's going on in the bigger world, but hopefully in a subtle way that just feels like an emotional journey, not like a preachy um parable.
Of course, sure. Yeah. Do you feel like your previous films, I mean, obviously there's Rogue One and you've done some indie films too. Do you feel like telling those stories and developing those worlds kind of prepared you for this? Or do you feel like The Creator's more of kind of its own thing?
No, they're all interconnected. I feel
Mhm.
like it's funny because I don't, in my mind, I do not feel like I've got a style or
Mhm.
I and I look at other filmmakers that I love, and I think I could, if no one put the credits up before or after the movie, I think most of them I could guess it was them. A lot of the A-list
Mhm.
filmmakers, I think they have a voice, like it's quite, whether they realize it or not. And over time, after making, like, this is my fourth film now,
Mhm.
people start to say things and point things out, and I start to realize, oh, maybe I do have things I am attracted to, and like, and so maybe there is a relationship between them. um I'm trying desperately every film to start fresh and kind of
Mhm.
ignore what happened before and go, okay, now it's this.
Yeah.
But inevitably you just get sucked into ideas and feelings and thoughts that you just naturally attracted to, that kind of repeat.
Mhm.
And also, when you learn, not that anyone can ever learn storytelling, it's like this infinite learning experience, but when you sort of get into it, you start to feel that actually stories are quite similar. Like, the classic thing being, the thing that inspired Lucas, everyone knows, is The Hero with a Thousand Faces, that book about how every story is the same story.
Mhm.
um and so really, that I think half the goal is trying not to repeat yourself and trying to find a different approach. But at the end of the day, I think don't know, there's certain films that as a kid made me want to do this. And if your film isn't like tapping in or making you feel the same things those films made me feel, then I feel like I'm kind of missing an opportunity, or I'm not doing it correctly or something. So
Mhm.
sort of get trapped in that dilemma.
Yeah, totally. Well, let me ask, so the design of the film is so gorgeous, right? What was it like, the concept artists, to create, the simulants, all of the technology in this world? What were some favorite moments that you had in that process?
Oh, I mean, there's a lot of nice, great moments in making a film, a lot of stressful ones
Hmm.
as well. I think my favorite, there's a lot of nice moments, so I don't want to pick something out, but I definitely a really favorite thing. We had the pandemic, during the middle of this film, just when it started. And so poor James Klein, who's our production designer, had to endure a year and a half of me on Zoom, um, driving in crazy. But it was really fun. Like we would basically open up a Zoom, create 2 Zoom accounts, and I could see his desktop, and I could also see him, and he could see me, and we could share desktops and all sorts. And we would just spend hours and hours
Hmm.
just chatting and designing, and just it's kind of the honeymoon part of making a film where anything's possible. And we got so inside each other's heads
Hmm.
that I could totally trust him to go paint something or design something, and it would be kind of how I wanted it. Like, and we couldn't, and then new artists would join in, and they'd be like, they'd do something, you go, oh no, it's not like that, it's like this. And and suddenly realize there's a whole set of rules we had for this film and a whole set of aesthetic ideas,
Uh-huh.
but we couldn't articulate them. It was like really hard to, it's like trying to explain to someone what makes something look like a Sony product versus an Apple product. You know what I mean? Like it when you see it, like what makes something Star Wars rather than Star Trek. And it, but it's really hard to articulate those differences. And found we had to try and do that and create this whole language and stuff. But yeah, and you kind of becomes therapy. Like I know James far too well now, and he knows me far too well. Like speaking to someone every day for over a year is it's
Sure.
not good.
Sure. All right. Well, thank you so much for chatting with us today. I just have one last tiny quick questions. I've heard rumors about your potential next project, which could be on the horizon. Do you know when we might hear about what you're going to tackle next?
uh it's not what I've read on the I also read on the internet the other day that the earth is flat. Apparently it's completely flat, and we never went to the moon
Sure.
either. So
So maybe we shouldn't believe everything we read.
uh maybe the earth is flat. I don't know, who's to say. I mean,
Well,
there's some compelling arguments. I no
well,
I
whatever's next for you, we
no, thanks. It's not what I've read.
yeah, well, whatever's next for you, we can't wait to see
Yeah,
it.
thank you. Yeah.
Sure. All right. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for chatting with us today.
Cheers. Yeah, no,
It's a
thank you.
pleasure to meet you.
Thanks for covering the film.